Hello and welcome to Undercommon Taste. This is a podcast where we create and discuss homebrew content for tabletop RPGs.
Meddle not in the affair of dragons, for you are crunchy and taste good with ketchup.
I'm Ian Woodworth. I'm joined by my co-host James Daly. Today we are back on the dragon train.
We're chasing that dragon, man.
Oh, yeah. Come on, buddy, you can catch me. Do you remember that episode of South Park?
Yes.
I remember that episode of South Park.
You remember? I remember.
And now we cannot monetize this episode ever.
Oh noes.
Oh noes. So we're getting back onto our episodes about dragons. And today we are going to be talking about some of the templates that D&D has for putting onto dragons. The vast majority of these are going to be undead templates.
Yeah.
There are a couple of honorable mentions that we are going to discuss a little bit before we get into all of the undead dragons, but most of them are for dragons that are undead, because dragons aren't terrifying enough on their own.
Yeah, we need zombie dragons. And again, I know when the books were out, they had released a Game of Thrones RPG. That's something I'm surprised that did not pick up more fervor or force with the series. But again, you have some undead dragons rocking around in that one in some form or another without spoilers, but they're out there.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that the lackluster performance of season 7 of the show has a lot to do with that.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I could see that. Again, the last 2 seasons flopped terribly. I mean, on a complete rabbit trail. You can tell where they started branching away from the source material, and it was very apparent. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Other systems where, again, you're going to see undead dragon types. If you're wanting to run like a World of Warcraft tabletop, and I know those exist out there, obviously undead dragons. If you're running any number of zombie-themed games on any system you could imagine, again, what's scarier than Dragon Zombie? They're out there. Why not? You can just kind of throw them in.
We got a couple things on today's list that are scarier than a zombie dragon, but
fair, yeah. But again, I mean, strangely, like if you just need to turn that speaker up to 11, these work for that really well.
Okay, so we're gonna just dive straight in, and the first thing I'm wanting to talk about is the honorable mention, because it isn't really a template, it's more just a really terrifying undead dragon monster.
Yeah.
This is one that I found in the 3.5 Fiend Folio, and it's called the Hullathoin.
That Fiend Folio has some gold in there. Like, if you could just
absolutely.
go back and dig through it, there are some amazing and terrifying
Absolutely,
things.
yes. I loved going through the Fiend Folio. Fiend Folio just had some truly ingenious ideas for crazy monsters.
Yes, this among them.
Right. So, in the description of the Hullathoin, it says that Hullathoins speak common and curiously draconic. But if you look at the picture that accompanies the stat block in the Fiend Folio, it is pretty obvious that this is an undead landworm. So the things that the brown dragons turned into, the wingless dragons.
Yeah.
It is obviously one of those. I mean, if you set this thing up next to a desert landworm, the big brown landworm, the shape of the bodies and everything is the same.
Yeah.
So they didn't want to come out and say it, but it is an undead dragon. And the reason why we wanted to talk about it is because of just the absolutely crazy, horrifying things that it has going on.
This thing is absolute nightmare fuel for any party.
Right. And even for 3rd edition standards, it has pretty low hit points for its challenge rating. It's a CR 15, but it's only got 104 hit points. And we were like, why would it be like that?
Because it doesn't need them.
No, it doesn't. Because, and I quote, a Hullathoin is nearly always accompanied by a ragtag mob of assorted undead creatures. Since the swarm it carries within its body, it carries a swarm of blood locusts within its body.
These things by themselves are terrifying. Holy crap. Ian was telling me about these, and I was like, no.
Yeah. Since the swarm it carries within its body is capable of creating fresh vampire spawn, Yeah, if the blood locusts that it can spew out kill you, you are reanimated as a vampire spawn under the control of the Hullathoin.
Yeah.
These are the most common kind of undead in its retinue, but because it can command undead, mummies, ghasts, ghouls, zombies, or even morgues or specters might be found in its company.
It's not bad enough you're facing a dragon. You've got these blood locusts, which are horrifying. You've got vampires. You've got mummies. You've got specters. You've got ghouls. And this thing is not out of tricks yet.
No. So this is basically the upgraded version of that undead T-Rex that vomits out zombies and Chult in the Tomb of Annihilation module.
Yeah, and that is so fun to play.
So among the other things that it also has tentacles.
Yep.
For whatever reason, its tentacles can lash out up to 20 feet away and grab you without provoking an attack of opportunity, and it doesn't take any penalties for having you grappled with its tentacles. And while it has you grappled with its tentacles, it can pin you, and if it does, it can make attacks that deal charisma damage.
Well, it's going to grapple you. You get a grapple check, right?
On the initial, and then you have to try and break free.
Right. But that grapple check's, what's it at?
Plus 26.
Yeah.
Which, admittedly, this is 3rd edition that we're talking about. By this point, a plus 26 is something that, a group of 15th level characters can handle.
Maybe. They would have to take some feats.
The ones that are going to be getting close enough to get hit by the tentacles. So
Ideally,
your marshals are going to be able to handle a plus 26 grapple.
On a good day, yes.
I didn't say that they were going to succeed all the time.
I honestly would be surprised if they succeed. 26, even in 5th edition, is huge. You'd have your base attack, or you'd have your base bonus, your proficiency. Like I said, unless you picked feats, you're going to have to roll an 18, 19, or 20 to hit that with a 20 strength score.
Well, that's the difference between 3rd edition and 5th edition is 5th edition has bounded accuracy and 3rd edition doesn't.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have all of these various miscellaneous bonuses in 3rd edition. It would be pretty easy for a 15th level fighter to have the necessary feats and magic items and such to easily get a plus 20 on their checks.
A plus 20, sure, but a plus 26 is still, that's...
at that point, that's within a reasonable range.
Yeah, it's reasonable, but again, it is nothing you're going to shrug off anyway. And again, you are extremely likely to fail, even if you are kitted.
And then on top of it all, both the tentacle and the bite attacks are poisoned.
Yep.
And if you fail your saving throw against the poison, you have an initial saving throw and a secondary saving throw that happens, I think, a minute later. If you fail them, you take 1d10 strength damage.
Yeah, now you're not saving any checks.
No. And then it also has the Rebuke Undead, which in 3rd edition would be Command Undead. So it is able to dominate and command undead creatures, even intelligent undead, and it can do so as a 20th level cleric. So it has the highest possible chance of commanding any undead that happen to be in its vicinity. So if you have a player character who happens to be a vampire,
yep,
because that did happen a lot in 3rd edition.
Yeah, actually fairly frequently, yeah. There was a lot of undead character types.
Yeah. So if you had a character who just happened to be a vampire, this thing could dominate and command that player character.
Oh my. Oh wait.
Then for the gross one,
this is bad.
yeah, it can make all of its sores explode and spray anyone within 30 feet with pus. That if they fail their reflex save, they take 5d6 points of acid damage and 1d6 points of strength damage.
I was telling you when we were talking about this is like the world's worst Frost Nova.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gross. And if you fail your saving throw, you're also nauseated for 10 rounds. So the sickened condition in 5e. So I think you take disadvantage on all ability checks
Yeah.
when you're sickened, or
I think it
I
was a
don't.
negative. Yeah. Disadvantage didn't quite work the same. I think you took a penalty on your
Well,
rolls.
no, I'm talking about in fifth edition.
Oh, fifth edition. Yeah, definitely would be disadvantaged.
Yeah, actually, that would probably just be like the poisoned condition where you have
Yeah.
disadvantage on your ability checks.
Poisoned, you can't move either, correct?
No, you can move with poisoned.
Oh, you
You're
can move
thinking
with poisoned?
paralyzed.
Okay, yeah. Other P word.
Yeah, or petrified. You can't move with petrified either. And then the final couple things. One, it has blind sight, so it can see you even if you're invisible. And it has fast healing, so it regenerates 8 hit points around.
Yeah.
So,
In the odd event that you actually get close to hit it.
yeah.
Beyond this, too, it has an incredibly high damage reduction and spell damage reduction, spell
Yeah, so
deflection.
so it's immune to electricity and cold. It's resistant to fire and sonic, which would be thunder in 5th edition. It had a damage reduction 20. So any damage that you dealt to it, 20 points was automatically taken off the top of it,
Right.
unless you were attacking it with a weapon that was at least a +2. So, yeah, this is harkening back to 2nd edition, where it was very common for things to be immune to damage from magical weapons that weren't at least a certain quality.
Yeah.
And then the last one was, it has spell resistance 26. So whenever you were attacking it with a spell, you would use, see here, it would be a d20 roll plus your caster level plus your spellcasting modifier.
Yeah.
And you had to roll a 26 or higher, or it just wasn't affected by your spell.
Yeah.
It just fizzles.
This thing, I mean, like I said, it does not need more hit points than it has because you're having a hard time getting through to it anyway.
Yeah. And because in 3rd edition, you had the option of, you had an attack, which is what it does if it's just going to attack and then move and do a minor action and all that stuff. Or it had a full attack, which is where it doesn't move, it doesn't do anything. All it does is attack the things around it.
Yes.
And so on a full attack, it has a bite, it has 2 stamps, so to smack you with its big old meaty paws, and 2 tentacles.
Yeah, that's 5 attacks per. That's a
5
TPK
attacks
per round.
It was mean. It's just mean and gross.
And that's on top of whatever swarm it summoned previously to deal with you as well.
And whatever enthralled undead it has surrounding it. Because it's going to have at least a few vampire spawn.
Yeah.
Which I think were a CR 4 or 5 in 3rd edition. They may be a little bit higher than that, but still, you have this big, mean CR 15 monster surrounded by 3 or 4 CR 5 vampire spawn, plus any other, like, let's say half a dozen zombies, plus the fact that it can summon a swarm of these blood fiend locusts every single turn if it decides to. So it's going to stay back away from the melee combatants and summon swarms on its turn. That's the thing it's going to do. It's not going to attack anybody until they approach it.
To branch games here, but in 40K, you've got the Necrons, and they have the Canotech spiders, and they create these swarms of scarabs to kind of swamp the battlefield. They slow things, they bind things up, they make it hard for enemy troops to move. And that's how I would see the Hullathoin playing tactically on the map, is again, it would spawn these locusts, it would have the undead, and then it would take a couple steps back and wait. And if you get through, a swarm or two, it's just going to respawn that swarm. If somehow you get through all of that, it's going to stomp you while the rest kind of surrounds and comes back on whatever gets close. But itself is not going to attack fairly frequently.
Yeah. I think possibly a better example, if we're going in 40K, would be the Tyrannid. Like, this would be the equivalent of a hive tyrant.
Yeah, I could see that too.
And the swarms that it would send out around it.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking specifically just like I said, the scarabs, because especially with the vehicles, they'd swarm them, they'd slow their movement and just kind of slowly whittle them, and they are a swarm. But I think the Tyranids have swarms too. With their,
yes, absolutely. Yeah. Canonically, there are Tyrannid that will swarm that are, microscopic in scale.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking like nanobot sized Tyranids.
I want a Tyranid
That that
army. That'd
would
be
that
fun.
would that would just strip resources from entire planets.
Yes.
So yeah.
So
But
that's
yeah,
the nightmare
so
fuel for the day.
yeah, we're gonna start there and we're gonna go uphill from there.
Right. It doesn't get worse than that. Ian and I were talking, and this might be something that we try to port to 5th edition later. I still think that'd be a really strong idea because this definitely needs to be on tables.
Yes, I will agree and think that this is going to be one of those instances where the thing that we bring to 5e would end up being a higher CR than where it is in 3rd edition,
Absolutely.
just because of bounded accuracy and because of action economy. Because you're never going to encounter one of these alone.
Right.
It's always going to have some sort of additional fodder to support it.
Yeah. When Ian was first telling me about this thing, I was saying that it should have been when we did our March Madness a couple of years ago, where we took the 64 highest CRs. I was like, this should have been on there, but again, it wasn't in 5th edition. But I could see this probably going toe to toe with any Great Worm, honestly.
Probably. I mean, the dragons are obviously going to have an advantage on being able to fly.
Yeah.
And because the way that we did March Madness, it would be it by itself, which would be a huge handicap for it because we didn't give any of them like support staff.
With that, yeah, it would probably go down. The dragons, any kind of flying drake or even land-based, would probably handle the swarms better depending on their breath weapon. Obviously, especially if they have a cone, but
And
still would be a good challenge for them.
And anything that has a fly speed of greater than 20 feet would be able to kite them because the swarms only have a movement speed of 20.
Or 20, yeah. That said, if we could hit with one of those tentacles, and I mean, dragons got great constitution, but if they failed one of those saves and that strength score starts dropping, they're done.
Well, I mean, anything that would prevent the dragon from utilizing their advantage of flight.
Yeah, that would wing them as well, quite literally.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into the actual dragons and the templates that we were talking about that we were going to do
Yeah,
today.
before it became the Hullathoin episode.
Yeah. So the other semi-honorable mention, the one that is not actually technically undead that we wanted to talk about today, but is related because of thematics, is the Shadow Dragon.
Yeah.
Shadow Dragons are found in the Shadowfell and the Shadowdark. So Shadowfell being the plane of shadows. In 5th edition, it has sort of taken the place of the negative energy plane. I was reading up on it a little bit, and it all comes from the aftermath of Shar and the Spell Plague at the beginning of 4th edition, where the elemental planes collapsed into the elemental chaos and a whole bunch of other stuff. But so she took the plane of shadow and she channeled the negative energy plane into the plane of shadow to create the Shadowfell.
I've always kind of pictured it as the polar opposite of the Feywild.
Right, because in 5th edition, the Feywild is essentially the equivalent of the positive energy plane.
Right. And again, you're going to find Saloon in the Feywild, so it would make sense that Shar's in the shadow.
Yeah. And then the Shadow Dark is that portion in the lower parts of the Underdark where the plane of shadow or the Shadowfell bleeds into it.
Right.
So that's where you're going to find shadow dragons, whether they have been born there or whether they are other color dragons that have gone into the Shadowfell or the Shadowdark and just spent enough time there and been infused with this shadow energy. And according to lore in the books, once a dragon has been transformed into a shadow dragon, they cannot change back.
Okay.
Which lends itself to keeping in theme with the other undead because it's sort of an irreversible process on all of these. So visually their scales darken, so it doesn't matter what color they started at. They all sort of get these dark violet, almost black scales. The membranes on their wings start to become translucent. And eventually they begin to exude wisps of shadow to the point where once the conversion is complete, it just looks like the membrane of the wings is just solid shadow, just sort of
that.
wisping off.
So when I picture this, have you ever seen like the pictures of those silky black chickens and they're kind of
Yes.
like iridescent
Yes.
when the sunlight hits them? That's kind of how I picture that, is like whenever any light in the Shadowfell hits them, they kind of get that iridescent sheen to them.
Now, in second edition, it did also specifically state that they disliked both bright light and complete darkness. And so they had the ability to create magical shadow, which would dispel both light and darkness.
I really like that, actually.
And in second edition, they were also their own wholly unique type of dragon. You didn't have a template. Dragons didn't become shadow dragons. They were shadow dragons. It was just another type of dragon.
There was a lot more effort put into second edition. Fifth edition's great, third edition's great. I understand trying to parse things back for players, and that was part of the problem with second edition. There was so much to dig through, it was clunky, but second edition had everything.
Ultimately, at the end of everything, that was the problem with third edition too.
Yeah.
3.5 is just there were so many resources and so many splat books and so many third-party things that you could create absolutely broken characters just by combining the right books.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the template as laid out in the third and fifth edition books on how to transform a dragon into a shadow dragon.
Just add shadows.
According to what I was reading, most shadow dragons start off as chromatic dragons, but I don't think that it would be necessarily chromatic exclusive. It's just that the chromatic dragons are most likely to be the ones to get stuck there.
Yeah. I mean, a chromatic, again, since chromatics are going to be quote, quote, typically evil aligned, they're probably going to spend more time in the Shadowfell. That said, I could see a metallic dragon kind of like doing the overzealous paladin type thing in like trying to hunt an entity down or trying to get vengeance about something and slowly lose itself in the shadow. Well, and that would be actually a really good story hook.
Yeah, sort of like, was it Zerial in Avernus?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of vibe. So the first thing that we change is you add a damage resistance to necrotic damage, and any of your damage that you would deal with a bite or a breath weapon changes from that type to necrotic.
Okay.
Because you are being infused with negative energy is associated with necrotic. It is that parallel, whereas positive energy becomes radiant in 5th edition. So the 5th edition monster manual specifically states acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison damage for the damage types that change. I think this is probably because at the point when that was put into the monster manual, we didn't have the gem dragons yet. Yeah. So those were all of the breath weapon types that we had so far in 5th edition. So I guess technically rules as written, you could have gem dragon become a shadow dragon and retain its original breath weapon type.
Yeah, I would probably retcon
I wouldn't do that, but
yeah.
Rules as written, it would do that.
Yeah.
So they gain proficiency with stealth, and they can take the hide action anywhere there is low light or darkness.
A stealth dragon is terrifying.
Just the fact that a dragon can disappear in the dark.
You remember the old cartoon Peach Dragon?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I picture.
Yeah. Only more malevolent.
Yes, much more malevolent.
So they get sunlight sensitivity, obviously, but they also gain resistance to all damage that isn't force, psychic, or radiant while they are in low light or darkness.
That's impressive. Now, with that, if the mage casts Fireball, as mages are inclined to do, would you say that the Fireball produces enough light to take them out of low light?
No, because it is a momentary flash.
Okay.
And because it is fire.
Okay.
Not radiant.
Okay.
Now, if you were to flame strike them, because flame strike is fire damage and radiant damage, then yes.
Okay.
That would do it.
I was just wondering if the fireball itself created enough light to dispel quote, quote, low light. It'd be like carrying a giant torch.
I think that in order for it to do that, it would have to
last more than 6 seconds.
It would have to be sustained. It would have to be sustained light.
Okay. Fair.
Now, if you were to throw a fireball at them and you happen to set a whole bunch of stuff on fire in the process, then yes.
That would be
because the fire would be generating light. and
Yeah.
the light would make it bright light. And it would have
Though it-
to leave that area in order to regain its advantages.
yeah. Though a clever wizard would just cast dancing lights or even just light, and that would dispel low light by itself. And yeah, that's a spell, but then the rest of the party it doesn't get that resistance anymore. And again, that would be a good tactical choice, I think.
This is why you carry sun rods. You just crack a
Yes.
glow stick and throw it at the dragon.
Haha, you don't have resistance anymore.
Yeah. And then the last one, and this is why I say that it is on theme for all of the undead ones that we're getting ready to talk about, is that whenever a humanoid creature is killed with its breath weapon, it is raised as a shadow under the shadow dragon's control.
Yes.
Shadows being undead creatures. That's where I would get this.
Yeah, it fits.
So now a couple of modifications that I would make specifically for dragons that haven't quite finished this transition from chromatic into shadow dragon.
Twilight dragons.
They don't sparkle.
Oh,
They might sparkle.
wrong Twilight, but okay. Well, if they were metallic, they would.
So I would say that they would get a partial resistance perhaps to necrotic, maybe like a flat reduction. So like any damage of that type is reduced by an amount equal to their con modifier.
Okay.
That would be the way that would result in the least amount of math. And then I would also have the damage dealt by their breath weapon be split 50-50 between the elemental and necrotic. So like if they would normally deal 12d6 fire damage on it with their breath weapon, it becomes 66 fire and 66 necrotic.
I like that. As a DM, I would make it an even odd roll to see which one came out, but both ways work. I like both.
Because they're getting infused. It's not a choice.
Yeah.
It's something that it's there and it's happening and they don't have any control over it. And that's why I would just say both. It just splits down the middle, half what they were and half what they're becoming.
See, I would take the same thing. They don't have control over it. So again, when they breathe, it can take either one because they're in that transition and they can't pick which one. It just, they're breathing something and it's coming out that way. But again, that's DM choice.
And then with the additional bonuses that they would get their proficiency with stealth, but they wouldn't be able to hide as a bonus action yet. They wouldn't have sunlight sensitivity yet, and they wouldn't get that living shadow bonus where they have resistance to all the damage types if they're in low light or darkness.
Okay. That all sounds fair.
Yeah.
I would take a couple of these, and if I had like an encounter with the Raven Queen, I could totally see her having a drake or two with her. Shadow Drakes would actually fit really well.
Yeah. Okay. So now getting into the undead dragons proper.
The actual undead ones.
Yeah. We're going to start off with the obvious one, the 800-pound gorilla in the room, the Dracolich.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into a whole lot of details on how dragons become Dracoliches. We did that back in episode 92. And the episode was called Lich Please. I am still really proud of that title.
As you should be.
And I'm going to put a link for that episode in the show notes so that you can go back and listen to it if you want. That was the episode, I think, that is either that one or the Vecna episode that happened like one or two episodes after that. That was the one short that really blew up on TikTok.
Yeah.
Because it happened to come out right at the time of Stranger Things. Was it season 4?
Yeah,
wrapping up?
Where they were playing with Vecna.
Yeah. So we just happened to hit the algorithm lottery and we got like 5,500 likes on that one.
Yeah.
It still has more likes, I think, than all the rest of the videos on our TikTok combined.
Everyone loves a lich.
And I have trouble actually putting things on TikTok.
That happens too.
Yeah. But anyway, rambling. If you want to know how to make a Dracolich, go listen to episode 92. We'll tell you how to make a Dracolich. So, per the 5th edition monster manual, only an adult dragon or older can become a Dracolich.
You need a certain amount of base power.
And a certain amount of body mass.
Yeah.
And I say that because it specifically excludes shadow dragons from becoming Dracoliches. Because they have, quote, lost too much of their physical form to make the transformation.
They've made their choice. No double dipping.
So with the template changes, the dragon ends up becoming undead. So they no longer need to eat, drink, sleep, or breathe. They gain resistance to necrotic damage. They get advantage on saving throws versus spells. And they gain immunity to being charmed, exhausted, frightened, paralyzed, or poisoned. Those are all things that they get for being undead. Unfortunately, in 5th edition, that's literally all that they do.
Yeah, that's kind of BS.
So I would start off by giving them spells.
Absolutely. I mean, you're going to be a lich.
They're liches.
Exactly.
How are you going to be a lich without casting spells?
Yeah.
And honestly, I would even make a requirement that they have to have levels in a caster class to become a Draco Lich.
That's fair.
They have to have that magical knowledge, that ability to harness magic and create spells out of it.
Yeah. And again, D&D kind of goes back and forth on, whether or not the dragons are the source of the arcane, so is magic innate with them, blah, blah. Yeah, you got to be able to throw spells. I am 100% on board with that.
So yeah, I would definitely have that be necromancy school, evocation school, probably enchantment, the control spells, probably a lot of abjuration.
I could even see the rare dragon cleric.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Dragon priests.
Yeah. I mean, because just because you're a cleric does not mean that you're good.
Right.
Evil gods have clerics too.
This is very true.
So yeah, absolutely see a cleric lich dragon. Because I mean, in 2nd edition, there were all sorts of different spellcasters that became liches. There's one example that I found whenever we were talking about liches. It may even be in episode 92, talking about a bard lich.
Yep.
And that makes a whole lot of sense because they're studying the lore. They are finding the examples. They're doing the research as a bard, and they are able to gather that magical knowledge to them through that and, express their magical powers in that way.
There's time to read forever.
Yeah. Of course, in 2nd edition, you also had archliches, which were good aligned liches. So yeah, there's a whole different can of worms.
Yes.
So the next one is basically what happens whenever you mess up when you're trying to make a Draco Lich.
Oops.
Skeletal dragons. So you mucked up your Draco Lich ritual. They're now dead.
Yeah.
They're very dead.
Template-wise, a little underwhelming. Miniature-wise, again, could look absolutely astounding.
Yeah. So skeletal dragons are probably the least dangerous of these templates because it's literally just a dragon skeleton that has been animated with the animate dead spell.
Yeah.
They're no longer intelligent. They can no longer fly. They no longer have a breath weapon.
Boo.
But they get all of the benefits of being undead. So they get all of the damage resistances, all the condition immunities, and that whole don't have to eat, drink, sleep, or breathe sort of thing.
Yeah. Still need one big ogre with a tree and just smash him up.
Yeah. So in 3rd edition, they also gained immunity to cold damage, regardless of what their color was in life. And
that's understandable.
And they retain any damage resistances or immunities that they had in life. Plus, they get spell resistance on top of it. So in 3rd edition, that would be you had to make a caster level check against the skeletal dragon in order for your spell to even have any effect. In 5th edition, it's a little bit underwhelming. It just means that they have advantage on saving throws against spells, which is still good because unless it's a very young dragon skeleton, they're going to have legendary resistances. Yeah. And so this gives them an extra mechanic to help them save those legendary resistances for later.
Yeah, and again, they're an X-Dragon, so they still got most of that stat block with them.
Yes.
So, I mean, their deck saves, things like that. Again, their will score gets bumped, so their will saves, like, you're not going to hit them with any kind of mind-affecting thing.
So, strength, dex, and charisma remain unchanged.
Yeah.
Their intelligence score is reduced to 1.
Oops.
And in 3rd edition, their wisdom score is changed to 10. Regardless of what it was, it becomes 10.
Okay, I thought it got bumped.
No.
Okay.
And then in 3rd edition, because they were undead, constructs and undead in 3rd edition didn't have a constitution score.
Right.
They just, anything that would require a fortitude save, if it didn't also specifically affect inanimate objects, it just didn't work on constructs and undead.
Okay.
But as it is now, I would just say we leave con unchanged.
That sounds fine.
And now for the changes that I would add to it, I would increase the DC of the saving throw for its frightful presence.
Yeah, this thing is going to be terrifying.
Yeah, I would say, just bump the DC up by 2 points.
Fair.
I think with the bounded accuracy of 5e, I think a 2-point bump, reducing their success chance by 10%, I think that's reasonable.
I mean, yeah, if I was going through the museum, the T-Rex woke up on me.
Yeah.
I'd be ready to run.
Yeah, and I would also give it advantage on saving throws against turn or destroy undead.
Fair. Now we need to summon Dresden. We'll be fine.
Although I think that in most cases, the skeletal dragon would have a high enough CR that turn undead wouldn't work on it to begin with because of the way that turn undead works in 5e.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right. Now, to the other end of the spectrum, now we have ghost dragons, or ghostly dragons as they were in 3rd edition.
These are a little harder to kind of wrap my brain around. Like, I can picture a ghost dragon, but seeing one on a table would be a challenge.
What I really love about this is the fact that you can take a dead dragon, you can animate its spirit as a ghost dragon, and then animate the physical corpse as a zombie dragon.
Yes.
And then whenever the zombie dragon wears out, you raise a skeletal dragon from it.
You get triple dragon. I like it.
Yeah.
That's pretty insidious.
It is. And so a ghost dragon is literally just the animate, vengeful spirit of a slain dragon. Per the Draconomicon, they're created when a dragon is slain and its hoard is looted.
This, again, makes a wonderful plot hook. Like, early on, your party goes, they kill the dragon, they loot it, they're going back, and the rest of the campaign, they're haunted and hunted by this ghost dragon.
And the only way to lay a ghost dragon to rest is to return its hoard, or an equivalent value of treasure, to its lair.
I'm getting some Jack Sparrow vibes.
Yeah, after which the spirit will settle into the hoard and pass into the afterlife, taking the treasure with it.
Yeah, this would make a great pirate campaign.
Oh, yes. The 9 pieces of 8.
Yeah.
You have to collect the 9 pieces of 8 and return them to the horde because they're the last remnants of the horde remaining.
Yes.
So the template for making a ghost dragon, it's kind of weird. For starters, it keeps all of its normal attacks, but any physical attacks that it would make have no effect on non-ethereal creatures.
I like that. I mean, it makes sense. It's a ghost.
It does have additional attacks and stuff that it can do that will affect non-ethereal creatures, but they deal cold or necrotic damage as opposed to the normal damage that it would deal.
Now, I like this, and again, going with that whole pirate theme, I would change this a bit with that cold damage, that maybe when the pirates are trying to board another ship, or when their ship's being boarded or they're attacking, if the spirit of this dragon comes through and just ices the ground under the pirate's feet to make their combat that much more difficult.
Well, because it's a touch thing,
Yeah.
because they're incorporeal, they can just fly through the boat.
Yes, and just frost the boat.
Yeah.
I love it.
Like, all of the rigging ices over, the deck becomes slick with ice, especially if this happens like during a rainstorm.
Oh, it'd be like casting the blizzard spell on the ship.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Sleet storm, yeah. It would be nasty. Anyone who is flying would be iced up and fall prone to the deck.
Oh, I love it. Yes. No,
Yeah.
I need to do this.
Yeah. So in 5th edition, the claws deal necrotic damage, and the bite deals cold damage and halves the target's movement speed for 1 round.
Vicious.
And now its breath weapon is pretty heavily modified. In 3rd edition, it still dealt its original damage type, but it also dealt damage to all of the physical attributes. So it would deal at 1d6 points of damage to strength, dex, and con.
Yeah, that's like, I think in third edition, Ghosts could do a touch attack and drain stats, if I recall.
Oh, they could drain levels.
Ghosts could still drain levels in third?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that makes perfect sense then.
I mean, they were not as good at it as, say, vampires,
No.
but yes, they could still do that.
God, level drain sucked.
Yeah. I never used it because I hated tracking it.
Fair. That's the same with like tracking XP, and XP drain was always hard to follow.
Yeah. So in 5th edition, it is changed to always deal cold damage, but it inflicts the frightened condition if you fail your saving throw.
That sounds reasonable. I like that.
And because it's incorporeal, it means it can phase through solid objects. They normally reside on the ethereal plane, and they can pass from the ethereal plane to the material plane and back at will.
Okay.
Because they're incorporeal, they're immune to being grappled, restrained, petrified, and knocked prone.
Again, understandable.
Yeah. And then on top of it, it's undead, so it gets all the undead things of not needing to eat, drink, sleep, or breathe, and being immune to being charmed, exhausted, frightened, paralyzed, and poisoned.
I mean, it all tracks.
And in 3rd edition, it also has immunity to magical sleep effects.
Most dragons did, if I recall.
I'm not sure about most dragons, but it was specifically mentioned in the modifications
Okay.
that it had immunity to magical sleep.
Okay. Because I'm thinking back to like my Neverwinter playthroughs before my current one, and I would generally play a sorcerer with draconic bloodlines, and that was always something I got. But I also generally played a half elf, and so I'm not sure. I thought it was from the dragon blood I had immunity to, but it could have been from the elven lineage
No, that's
as well.
an elf thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, elves are immune to
sleep.
magical sleep
Yeah.
throughout all of the editions.
Yes.
And half elves keep that.
Right.
See here, they gain additional damage immunities. So this is one where 5th edition actually does them a solid. In 3rd edition, they just gain immunity to acid. In 5th edition, they gain immunity to acid, cold, necrotic, and poison.
I don't know how I feel about immunity to necrotic.
I mean, because
they're already undead?
Because they're incorporeal.
Yeah, okay, fair.
Because in order for necrotic damage to really take hold, it has to have something to necrotize.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And I'm thinking negative energy would heal the undead instead of damage, so... Okay, yeah, right. No, I'm getting my stuff all mixed up. No, you're good.
And so 5th edition also gives it resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage.
Again, it's a ghost.
Yeah, I would straight up give it immunity to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage.
I would say non-magical or non-silvered.
Just because it doesn't specify that in the books.
Yeah.
It just says resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing. It doesn't say anything about the attack needing to be magical.
Yeah.
3rd edition, it gains blind sense. So blind sense is like blind sight, but better. It just knows where everything within a certain radius is.
Yeah.
It just knows that you're there. If you are on the same plane of existence, or if it can see your plane of existence, it knows you're there. There is no sneak attack.
No.
Attacking from the shadows for the rogue. No. I mean, they would still get their sneak attack for flanking, probably, but...
That'd be it, yeah.
Yeah. And then in 5th edition, it gains telepathy.
Ooh.
So they can commune telepathically.
Yeah, I really want to play a Ghost Dragon attacking pirate.
And this is the best part. This didn't make it into the stat block for 5th edition, but in 3rd edition, it has the ability rejuvenation, which means that if you kill it, it comes back in 2d4 days.
It's on a mission. I like that. Again, it has a task, and that's not stop until it's done.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm on board.
So 5th edition also has a couple of sort of variants on this. One is called the Draconic Shard, which is specifically for gem dragons.
Okay.
Where basically a psychic fragment of the dragon stays behind to finish the unfinished thing that it was meant to do.
Okay.
And the only way to lay it to rest is by shattering the crystal shard fragment from the dragon that this remnant is tied to.
I mean, you could do stuff with that. I'm okay with it. I'm a little wonky having a ghost leave a physical piece, but otherwise, yeah, that's fine.
Well, it's not. The ghost isn't leaving a physical piece. The ghost is tied to a physical piece of its former
Former
physical
self.
self.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I could track with that then.
So this is like, if somebody kills a crystal dragon and harvests that great big crystal from, the front of its head,
Right.
and then all of a sudden, all sorts of things start happening around this thing because the dragon, it has business. It
Yeah.
has things it needs to do, and you are keeping it from doing those things.
Yes. And as a DM, I would make that crystal worth so much gold that it would be obscene to try to break or destroy it.
Yeah, and it's also going to be incredibly difficult to
Difficult.
do.
Yeah.
And then the other one is a hollow dragon, which is the undead husk of a metallic dragon that has been animated by radiant energy.
Ooh.
So basically, think of all of the chitinous, ridgy, scaly, the heavy scale parts of a metallic dragon, and then everything underneath that is just radiant energy.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I like it.
And they are usually driven to achieve some task or goal that they were unable to finish in life.
Roll for vengeance.
And most of them will release their spirit to pass on once that task is completed. Not all of them,
Most of them.
but most of them. So yeah, that's ghost dragons and some of the variants on ghost dragons. Next up is another really cool one that I kind of wish had gotten brought into Fizban's that is in the Draconomicon, which is the vampiric dragon.
Yeah, they're going to be fun.
It's a dragon that's a vampire.
Yeah.
It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yes.
So the interesting thing surrounding a vampiric dragon is that it's not the fact that they're a vampire, it is how they become a vampire.
Okay.
Because I think that this is going to be one of those cases where it is a magical ritual to become a vampire. I don't think that you are going to be spawned by another vampire in a traditional vampiric sense.
Fair.
Because
Yeah.
I think that aside from, a very few rare exception vampires like Cass, Vecna's lieutenant, or Strahd von Zarevich, I don't think that there are going to be vampires that are actually powerful enough to turn any but the youngest, weakest dragons into vampires.
Yeah, I'm thinking like ritual if like maybe you sacrificed a vampire, blood and the dragon drank all of that.
I mean, there are rituals in the Book of Vile Darkness to become a vampire.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how Cass became a vampire. Vecna turned him into a vampire.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
I don't recall.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I researched that episode. That was like 70 episodes ago.
I know, right?
It was like 2.5 years ago at this point. But that said, I think that a vampiric dragon would absolutely be capable of enthralling and turning other dragons.
Yes.
Especially since they get all of the bonuses. Basically, you take the vampire template and you stick it onto the dragon. That's basically what it says to do in the book.
Yeah. The story hook for this is if you had a party of vampire hunters, they're going through the village, they're doing things, and you're looking for that source or that prime vampire. And you get there and you get to the base and you crack open the casket, it's empty. You look around and there is the vampiric dragon. And it's the vampiric dragon that's the prime and not a regular mortal.
Right. And with vampiric dragons, their horde serves the same purpose as the casket.
Yes.
So yet that whole, they have to get back to their horde in order to, sustain themselves.
Yeah.
So for the template, all attacks, including breath weapons, remain unchanged.
Okay.
They gain the standard array of vampire abilities. So they get the charm and dominate abilities. They get the blood drain where, they can suck the blood out of things, reducing the target's max hit points and gaining temporary hit points.
That'll be like drinking the smallest Capri Suns.
Right? The ability to create vampire spawn, etc. They gain the standard vampire resistances of necrotic and non-magical weapons. They get that passive regeneration ability, provided they're not in direct sunlight. So doing a little bit of math, it seems like the standard rate would be about 1/8 to 1/10 of its max hit points per round,
Okay.
primarily because 5th edition
That's math weird.
has a lot more damage being dealt, and so the passive healing has to be more.
Yeah.
So the 5th edition vampire, per the monster manual, has 144 max hit points and recovers 20 hit points per round.
Okay.
So I would say that 1/8 or 1/10 of their hit points would probably be about right.
Okay.
And it gets the standard vampire weaknesses, stake to the heart, sunlight hypersensitivity, harmed by running water, and forbiddance. So it can't enter a home without being invited in.
Does it count if they smash the home first?
I think that's exactly how they get around it.
I was going to say, are they stuck at the foundation?
I think because if they're powerful enough, they can overcome forbiddance,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
They're just greatly weakened
By it.
in the process.
Yes.
They do also happen to gain advantage on turn undead.
Understandable.
Now, as I was doing this, I thought that an interesting idea would be that if a vampire could manage to feed on a dragon and slay it by feeding on it, then that vampire would become a vampiric dragon.
Ooh, interesting.
So,
I like
instead
that.
of, that whole transformation into a bat,
Right.
because dragons are inherently magical creatures, and the blood of a dragon would be so much more powerful than the blood of a mere mortal.
Right.
It would have that transformative effect.
I like that. And I like the idea of a vampire raising a huge retinue to weaken the dragon to the point where it could hop on its back or grab its tail or whatever and get that last little bit to drop it. Again, more in 2nd edition, some in 3rd, but the people that would XP steal, because full XP went to whoever killed the critter. Yeah, so this vampire is sitting back XP stealing from a party.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I like it.
Or, it just happened to pick the dragon that was in a humanoid form.
Oh, yeah.
And it just got so lucky on this dragon, had his guard down, was having a fun evening. So, maybe on some consciousness modifying imbibements.
Okay.
And just doesn't have the ability to resist.
Yeah.
And the vampire doesn't realize that this is a dragon. They think this is just some drunk dude walking home.
Surprise.
And the stars just happen to align in such a way that this vampire accidentally drains a dragon.
Okay. Yeah.
I think
like
that would be sort of that Benny Hill sort of moment.
Right.
All right. So now a couple more and then we'll wrap up. The other one, I mentioned this one a little bit earlier, the zombie dragon.
It's pretty basic.
It is pretty basic. It's like a skeletal dragon. It's a stupid undead. It doesn't have an intelligence score. Unlike the skeletal dragon, it can still fly.
Well, it has some meat on the wings.
And it still has a breath weapon.
That's interesting. Well, I guess it would make sense because the skeletal dragon wouldn't have whatever organs produced the breath weapon.
Yeah, it doesn't have the anatomy left to do a breath weapon.
Okay.
They also gain damage reduction or resistance to non-slashing damage, depending on which edition you're going with.
The zombie, that holds.
Yeah, and then this is the thing that I really like. In 5th edition, they would gain undead fortitude.
Yes.
So if they're hit by something that would reduce them to 0 hit points, if it isn't a critical hit or radiant damage, they get to make a con save. DC, is it 5 or 10 plus the damage dealt?
It's 5 plus damage.
5 plus damage?
Yeah.
And if they succeed on that saving throw, they just drop to 1 hit point instead.
Yeah. When I was doing my Tomb of Annihilation, the zombie T-Rex stayed up for a good 6 or 7 rounds due to undead constitution. Or undead fortitude, rather. But yeah, that's fun. It's nope, it's not dead.
Yep. And so we're going to wrap up with one. This is actually homebrew. Imagine that on this show. Because there isn't an official published mummy dragon.
And there absolutely should be. Wizards, you dropped the ball.
Yeah. I mean, there may be one that just happens to be in an old module somewhere.
Maybe a dragon issue?
There might be, but I wasn't able to find one.
Yeah.
I looked and I wasn't able to find one. All of the ones that I could find were third-party created stuff or were homebrew like on 5e SRD. So it would be an intelligent undead because mummies are intelligent.
Yeah.
I would probably start by following the template of the Draco Lich. I would say that it would retain its innate damage types and resistances and gain immunity to necrotic and poison because mummies have those immunities in 5e.
Yeah.
Gain all the standard undead bonuses. I'm not going to go over them again. The thing about mummies is that they tend to be tied to a physical location.
Okay.
They are quite often guardians of a location, whether that's a tomb or some such. Many instances, mummies are there because they were tomb robbers that were afflicted with mummy rot. And they
That will
died
happen.
before they got out.
Yes.
And so now they are trapped in the tombs that they were trying to rob as mummies defending the tomb.
See, I like that for a concept of making a mummy dragon. Again, talking about the Lich, going with more of a cleric dragon, and maybe it is there to guard a temple, or perhaps it was its temple at one point, and so it is there more or less permanently.
Right. And so because in the process of making a mummy, the organs are removed, and according to both 3rd edition and 5th edition, their organs are put into the canopic jars, specifically the heart for D&D mummies. And if you don't destroy the heart, the mummy will just reconstitute after a day or two.
I like it.
So that's part of the reason why I was going with Draco Lich, because the canopic jars function in a very similar way to a phylactery.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, because mummy rot doesn't create mummies anymore in 5th edition,
Boo.
mummy rot just makes you crumble away to dust whenever you run out of hit points.
Not terrible, but I want more mummies.
Yeah. I would say that, in order to make a mummy dragons have to be intentionally made.
Okay, yeah, through ritual.
Through ritual.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
So a couple other things, as we have been talking about, it would have the ability to inflict mummy rot.
Okay.
So like on its bite attacks, you have to make that con save or you're contracting mummy rot. And then the mummy dragon's frightful presence ability would be modified according to the template laid out on the mummy's dread glare ability, because the mummy has a dread glare which has the effect of frightening you, but if you fail by 5 or more, you're also paralyzed for the duration of the frightened condition.
Again, that holds thematically. If I saw a mummy dragon, I'm probably voiding various parts and not moving.
Yeah. And then finally, I would give it all of the same legendary actions that a mummy lord would get. So one of the things it can do is swirl up a cloud of dust that makes creatures within a certain radius have to make a saving throw or be blinded until the end of their next turn. It has an AoE that allows it to basically power word stun within a certain radius.
Nice.
It has the ability to just turn off healing for a round.
That could be brutal.
And the last one is they would have the ability to transform into a whirlwind of sand. So they basically turn into a dust devil and they move up to 60 feet. And while they're moving, they're immune to being grappled and petrified and prone and restrained and stunned. And they're immune to damage. They just reposition.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, because you're not going to fight a dust devil.
No.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I remember being out on the playground, in elementary school and, having the little dust devils come up on the playground sometimes and going and playing around in them. And yeah, there's nothing that you can do to that is going to make it stop.
Yeah, I'm picturing more of a small haboob, just that dust storm. But yeah, you're not doing anything. A cleric might be able to do gust of wind, but I think just the metaphysical and physical mass of the dragon would be so much greater than what I think it's a second level spell can push. So
yeah. Oh, and this is also a legendary action. So this is happening between turns.
Right.
So you would have to have a reaction in order to do anything with it, and you can't cast Gust of Wind as a reaction.
Yeah.
Personally, I would make it so that anything that it passed through had to make a saving throw, like a dex save, or take a certain amount of piercing damage, being buffeted by a sandstorm.
Yeah, I'd do that, and or being blinded just by the amount of sand and dust kicked up.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the mummy dragon.
Huzzah!
I mean, I think it's cool.
Yeah,
I think it's something that, like, a blue dragon would be the perfect candidate for a mummy dragon.
Yes, absolutely.
Or a brass dragon.
Yeah,
even.
both would work really well.
The ones that are, living in the desert.
Strangely enough.
But yeah, I think thematically.
Ooh, I could see a green or even a black like a swamp dragon. You've got like those swampy type mummies,
like the bog find mummies.
Yeah. Ooh, I like it.
And we did also talk about like the yellow dragons.
Mm-hmm.
A yellow dragon mummy.
Yeah,
that would definitely be like the 1999 The Mummy.
Yes, it would be. That's a good movie.
Where it was mummified as punishment.
Yes.
And it's forced to guard this location, guard this temple or this tomb as punishment.
Oh, maybe again, I could see them doing that, stuck to the location. That is how they managed it. So it can't go on a rampage. It is stuck in that area.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like it. Okay, yeah.
And I'm just like, I want to see one that's like bound to like a salt flat.
Okay.
Just like the added elements of this isn't sand, it's salt.
Salt. Ooh, okay. We'd have a salty lich. I like it. It's a mummy, but.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that's where we are today. That's what we had to talk about today. We still have other stuff that we're wanting to talk about. We're going to be talking about elemental templates here pretty soon. They were going to be part of this, and then the number of undead templates just sort of ballooned to the point where, if we tried to do it tonight, if we tried to do it as part of this episode, this would be like a 3-hour long episode, and we don't want to do that. So yeah, that's where we're going to be for today. Not sure what we're going to do for next episode yet.
It'll be a surprise.
It'll be a surprise.
Huzzah.
It will not be dragons. I'm trying to break it up to where we don't have back-to-back dragon episodes.
All dragons all the time.
Just for our sanity, because these do require a bit more research than some of the other ones. And I'm busy. James is busy. We don't have time to just sit down and spend 7 hours researching an episode anymore.
We do have ours at our 4-year or 5-year anniversary coming up. I think it's our 4-year anniversary. 5. Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Because we started in 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
So that'll be fun. That'll be in beginning of September.
Yep.
So thank you everyone for listening. If you have any comments, suggestions, or ideas, please send us an email, undercommentaste@gmail.com, or come and join us on our Discord. You can find a link to the Discord and all of our other social media through our website, undercommentaste.com. You can also find links there to our itch store, undercommentaste.itch.io, and our Patreon, patreon.com/undercommentaste.
If this is your first time listening, we're glad you found us. If you want to hear our other dragon content, or if you want to check out Lich, please. You can find our podcast on your podcatcher of choice. Just search Undercommon Taste. Normally, you'd be able to find me on Twitch on Tuesdays and Thursdays. However, we had a power storm come through. I had a bit of a power surge, so some of my equipment took a hit. So we're taking a week or 2 off while I figure out a plan B for that to get that back. So no Twitch in the meantime, but we will be starting that up soon, I hope.
And again, I am including a link to episode 92 in the show notes, or you can just scroll back through the feed on your podcatcher of choice to find it, because I can't put a link to every single podcatcher, unfortunately. I do have a character limit. So the one I'm going to be putting up is for Podbean, which is where we host. But anyway, rambling, need to stop. Stay safe, everyone. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Happy gaming.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Undercommon Taste. Our theme song is Massacre Anne, written and performed by Mary Kroll and used with permission. You can find Mary online at marykroll.bandcamp.com or on Patreon at patreon.com/Dr. Mary C. Kroll. Our logo is by David Sutherland. You can find more of David's work on deviantart.com/David Sutherland or on instagram.com/Willex_73. We'll be back in 2 weeks, so stay safe, and we'll see you then.